Everybody hear me now? Okay, I'm glad. This is the first time we've tried this on Thursday night. It's a little hectic doing things the first time. They are still printing up the brochures so you know which order you're in. We have 2 animals in the Berkshire class. That's the way we're going to start until we get the paperwork. After the Berks, we're going to go to the Durocs. So if you have Berks, bring them on out here. Yep.
In our first class of Berkshire Gilts, we have 2 entries from Hayden Bulkey from the Grant Clever Clovers. Duroc Gilts are on deck.
Well, good evening. It's always fun to come over here and sort some livestock. I'm going to go ahead and start with the young man in the black shirts, Berkshire Gilt. I think she's just really, really neat from the side profile, and you get up over her top, and she doesn't disappoint you. She's got a really fresh look to her. She's really cool through her front end of her and how she comes up out of that neck set for a Berkshire female. I think she's really designed pretty cool. Take nothing away from this a little bit stouter backed one that just a little more rugged designed, not quite as lengthy through that neck, and one that just we need to clean up there a little bit. But one, 2 Berkshire Gilts we can really appreciate. Let's go ahead and give them a round of applause.
First and second place in the Berkshire class goes to Hayden Bulkey. Now entering the ring are Duroc Gilts, Hayden Bulkey with the Grant Clever Clovers, Jaden Birkenpass with Lamar's FFA, Ethan Lee with Lamar's FFA, Hayden Bulkey, Grant Clever Clovers, Reagan Peters, MMCRU FFA, Olivia Fegley, Johnson Juniors, Carson Nias, Grant Clever Clovers, Calla Langle, the Grant Clever Clovers, and Cale Moffitt with the Akron Westfield FFA. The Hampshire Gilt class is on deck, followed by the Poland China. Our next class will be the Hamp Gilts, and followed by the Poland China.
Let's go ahead and give these Duroc exhibitors a round of applause. A really nice set out here. I think there's two Gilts out here that rival one another, and they get out here and move, and both of them have really cool designs to them and how they're skeletally built, and you know, you can probably toss them around many different ways in your mind. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the young man's over here. I think that one just really neat from the side profile. Her depth of body and her rib cage in that one, appreciate. I'd like to clean her up through her neck. That's where this one probably beats the one in first. But a really powerful female, in my opinion, the surface in that marina here in the first Duroc. Really long-sided one. And like I said, this one wins by her front shoulder and how she comes out of that neck set and her neck extension. One you can appreciate, still comes out with a big forearm in that one. But I'd just like to give her a little more middle to her in that one. But one you can appreciate. You love her top shape that she's got in her, and comes out of a really nice hip and comes out really smoothly for me. Another nice female coming out here, just doesn't quite have the overall mass and top shape. Probably, you know, a little bit younger female coming out here. She's probably, I'm going to take a wild guess, about 30 pounds lighter than some of these, but a really nice, attractive female that I think is going to have some really good future coming down the road. We just doesn't quite have the overall mass and shape to move her up any higher in this particular drive. Another really nice Duroc female coming out. Just gets a little bit flatter in her rib for me, but you love her side profile from her. We just want to give her a little more curvature to that rib as she's designed, and make her have a little more shape and dimension there up over her top, but a nice female to be in that fourth hole. So we come out an ultra long-sided one that's pretty rugged made. We just want to clean her up in that hip-loin junction and make her a little easy out of those rear two legs for me. As we round out, we've got a nice set of Durocs that just don't quite have the muscle shape and overall dimension. Maybe get a little bit straighter out of their back leg for me. Something you can appreciate, though, for being females.
Champion and reserve champion Duroc Gilt goes to Hayden Bulkey with the Grant Clever Clovers. Now entering the ring is our Hampshire Gilt class, Sailor Yower with the Hinton FFA. On deck is the Poland China, and after that will be Yorks.
A single entry in this particular Hampshire drive, and one you can appreciate from her side profile. But as this one gets out on the move, she wants to walk up underneath herself a little bit. We need to fix her up out of that hock and maybe get a little straight out of that front shoulder. But you do really appreciate how up-headed this one is, and clean-throated and neck extension in that. We just need to fix those rear legs as she wants to get out, and let her get out here and drive and be a little more flexible on that hock. But one you can appreciate.
Champion Hampshire Gilt goes to Sailor Yower with the Hinton FFA. Now entering the ring are the Poland China Gilts, Ellie Yorger with the Classy Clovers, and Benjamin Yorger with the Classy Clovers. Next class will be the Yorkshire Gilts.
Just 2 entries here in your Poland China class, and both represent the breed character fairly well, but and both of them are having a little bit of a structural flaws coming out of those back legs. But I'm going to go ahead and start the class with the young lady's Poland Gilt. I think when you get her out of the move, she's probably the freest out of those rear back 2 legs, and we do need to correct them up out of their hock as they're wanting to twist out a little bit, and we want to give them a little more dimension to their rib cage and curvature to that. But nice set of Poland Chinas to start. The young man being second here, we just need to, that right rear leg is really wanting to twist out on him for him. And we just need to give her a little more shape and dimension to that rib and to move her up any higher.
Champion Poland China Gilt goes to Ellie Yorger with the Classy Clovers. Reserve goes to Benjamin Yorger with the Classy Clovers. Now entering the ring are the Yorkshire Gilts. Ellie Yorger with the Classy Clovers, Brady Allen with the Lamar's FFA, Wyatt Nelson with the Kingsley Pearson FFA, and Cale Moffitt, Akron Westfield FFA. After this class, we will select our champion purebred gilt. There's an add-on entry to this class, Jonathan Sanchez with the Lincoln Toppers.
Go ahead and give the Yorkshire exhibitors a nice round of applause. A little bit of type and kind differences out here as we bring them all out here to drive. And I'm going to start with the young man on the far end here. I think this one is the most powerful from overall. You get the top side of her skeleton, amount of product that she's laid in there, but yet has some capacity and power to motor out through this ring and fairly sound. And we want to, a few of them are starting to trip over some of these heavier wood chips, but one you can really appreciate from her depth of body and her side profile and her elegant. She looks like she could easily be a sow, and one you can really appreciate. The young man here coming out second, a nice long-bodied one. She just gets a little bit finer featured for me, but you do appreciate her neck set on this one. And she comes out here, I'd like to clean her up too in her hip-loin juncture, just take and fill her up just a little bit and have a little more gut on her, but the one you can appreciate. Coming out next is one that just gets a little bit narrower made for me from front to rear, and she gets a little low on those front pasterns for me. We want to just stouten this one up from front to rear. I'm guessing she's given up quite a few days of age as well. She's very youthful in her appearance, but like I said, we just need to widen her from front to rear. One that gets a little bit hard for me to take a look at. She just gets is struggling with those rear wheels as she wants to motor out here. We want to clean her up through that hip-loin junction a little bit too and fill her in through her flank, but one that's got some neck extension to her, some top shape, and one you can appreciate there. As we roll out, one that's just a little bit plainer in her design, still's got some top shape, and appreciate how she comes out of that neck set, but one that just doesn't quite have the eye appeal and balance for me to move them up any higher.
Champion Yorkshire Gilt goes to Wyatt Nelson of the Kingsley Pearson FFA. Reserve goes to Jonathan Sanchez with the Lincoln Toppers. We'll now select the champion purebred Gilt.
Hi, I'm Claire Blezik. I'm the 18-year-old daughter of Doug and Glenda Blezik. I'm representing the Grant Clever Clovers 4-H Club, and I'm your 2022 Plymouth County Fair Queen. And Tessa Ellenzone is one of the 2022 princesses.
Hi, I'm Lauren Sadoff. I'm the 17-year-old daughter of Kelly and Missy Sadoff of Akron. I'm representing the Johnson Juniors 4-H Club, and I am one of your 2022 Plymouth County Fair princesses.
Hi, I'm Allison Ball. I'm the 16-year-old daughter of Jason and Christy Ball. I'm representing the Union Livewires 4-H Club, and I'm your 2022 Miss Congeniality.
My name is Jake Utesh. I'm the 17-year-old son of Doug and Jill Utesh. I represent the Kingsley Patriots 4-H Club, and I am your 2022 Plymouth County Fair King.
Hi, my name is Brandon Gangler. I'm the 17-year-old son of Jeff and Stephanie Gangler. I'm representing the Stanton Lucky Clovers 4-H Club, and I am a prince.
My name is Carson Luch. I'm the 17-year-old son of Jason and Stephanie Luch. I represent the Union Livewires, the MMCRU FFA chapter, and I am the other fair prince.
Hi, my name is Wade Fisher. I'm the 18-year-old son of Jody Fisher and late Mike Fisher. I'm representing the Grand Isle Giants 4-H Club, and I'm your 2022 Mr. Personality.
Following the selection of our champion purebred gilt, we will start with the dark lightweight crossbred gilt class.
Let's go ahead and give these kids a round of applause for coming out here with your champion in their divisions or classes. I'll be real honest. I think there's two out here that really kind of fit to the top, but one, in my opinion, just surfaces very well for me. Just overall ruggedness and heaviness of structure and build, and still looks like a female and can go on and be a sow later on after his show career. The young man's Duroc will be your champion purebred. And we are going to pick a top three, so congratulations. So we want to bring that reserve Duroc out here.
Need the reserve champion Duroc back in the ring, please. Hayden Bulkey, we need your reserve Duroc back in the ring. We need the Duroc that Brady Allen was showing back in the show ring, please.
In the second class.
As we go ahead and bring out that reserve Duroc in that particular class, I thought they were awfully rivaled each other exceptionally well, and a pair that I could easily sleep at night that we picked to win a class and be reserved and follow up. The reserve Duroc is going to be the reserve purebred in this particular drive. And as we go ahead and evaluate and look for a third overall, the young man's Yorkshire female would be third in that particular purebred drive.
Champion purebred gilt goes to Hayden Bulkey. Reserve goes to Brady Allen.
We need the tag number up too.
Third place purebred gilt goes to Wyatt Nelson. Our next class will be the dark lightweight crossbred gilts. In the dark lightweight crossbred gilt class, we have Carson Neas, Grant Clever Clovers, Wyatt Nelson, Kingsley Pearson FFA, Brady Allen, Lamar's FFA, Benjamin Yorger, Classy Clovers, Cale Moffitt with the Akron Westfield FFA, Matthew Kolbaum with the MMCRU FFA, Olivia Fegley with the Johnson Juniors, and Eli Eisma with the Grant Little Giants. Our next class will be the lightweight crossbred class.
So we go ahead and bring our crossbreds out here, and this is the lightweight drive. Let's go ahead and give these kiddos a round of applause as they brought some really neat gilts out here to evaluate. And as we get out here and watch them walk a little bit longer, and a few of them are wanting to trip over some of these lower shavings here or whatever, take some missteps. But there's a couple of gilts that I left out here that, to me, they hit me pretty hard. And there's one that I think your color pattern can kind of screw or mess with your mind or screw you up a little bit. But I'm going to start the class with the young man's black spotted top gilt. Really, really a lot of power in that product, and she still looks like a female when you get her from the side and get past that color pattern on her. I really appreciate her as she gets out and moves and he gets her head up. She comes at you with a huge forearm, and one that you can really appreciate. Take nothing away from the calico or spotted up rumped one that's got a real powerful leg to it. Want to twist out ever a little bit on that back right leg, and maybe some of that is the wood shavings, but one you can appreciate from its the neck extension and coming out levelness at top, and how she gets out here in powers, but she's wanting to twist just ever a little bit on those back legs. Coming out next is a real long-sided, real cool profiling one, but she just don't have as much rib shape. She gets a little bit flatter in that side, and but you can appreciate her neck extension, and you can, give her a little more shape to that rib and get some more pounds on that one. She's going to be a nice female for that young man. Young lady's real nice long-sided one, real cool neck extension on one, but she's just a little bit flatter in that side as well, and can make a really nice market gilt as well. Young man and I talked about this one for a little bit. She's only about 195 pounds, and she's got a heck of a top in her as she gets out and moves and comes at you with a powerful rear view in that one. I think 30, 40 pounds on that one, and she's going to be a powerhouse female. Come out next is just one that gets a little bit finer in its feature, and we need to stouten it up from front to rear and get that neck to come up out of that shoulder a little higher for me. As we round out the other two hogs in this particular drive, just get a little bit off in their profile, a little bit longer sided, just don't, and flatter in their rib cage, and don't have as much eye appeal and balance and skin and hair condition to move up any higher.
Winning the dark lightweight crossbred gilt class is Matthew Colbaum with the MMCRU FFA. Second place goes to Brady Allen with the Lamar's FFA. Our next class will be the lightweight crossbred gilt class. Jonathan Sanchez with the Lincoln Toppers, Jarrett Westhoff with the Grant Little Giants, and Ellie Yorger with the Classy Clovers.
let's go ahead and give our lightweight light cross gilts a round of applause here. It's just 3 entries, but 3 that you can appreciate for their different types and kinds. I think this one was in the wrong class earlier and when it came into the Yorkshire ring, but I'm going to start the class with the blue faced one and blue rumped one. I will admit that we need to maybe jack her up on those pasterns ever so slightly, but really, really bold in her front shoulder as she comes at you with a huge forearm and comes at you and leaves you like a truck. And she's got plenty of curvature to that rib and capacity to carry pigs later on in her career to become a sow, and one that you can just gravitate to in this particular class pretty easily. The young man's solid white gilt will be second in this particular class. You love her extension and profile from the side. We need to give her a little more shape to that rib and fill her up a little bit in that flank region, but one you can appreciate too. And then a young lady's spotted up blue gilt. It just gets a little bit refined in her overall look, and we need to fill it up and give her a little more dropper in that flank. And but one we can appreciate, and it'll be a nice female as we move down the line.
First place in the lightweight crossbred gilt class goes to Jarrett Westhoff with the Grant Little Giants. Second goes to Jonathan Sanchez with the Lincoln Toppers. Our next class will be the dark heavyweight crossbred gilt class. Sarah Vicura, Lamar's FFA. Eli Eisma, the Grant Little Giants. Sailor Yower, Hinton FFA. Matthew Kolbaum, MMCRU FFA. Tessa Ellenson, Lamar's FFA. Jarrett Westhoff with the Grant Little Giants, and Reagan Peters with the MMCRU FFA.
Let's go ahead and give these kids a round of applause, and they bring out their heavyweight dark cross pigs. And there's some different types and kinds in here, and there's some that are maybe just a little too overbearing for me. If I look at and evaluate something, I want to farrow out. Some of them are just a little too much for me as far as the overall power. And I'll be first to admit too, you got to have a stout sow to make a stout barrow back in the day. But you got to also have some functionality and some structure to go with it. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the Calico Gilt. I think I really appreciate that one, how she comes at you. And she's not the most massive one in the ring by any means of the imagination, but if it's all about that, we don't really need to evaluate them. Just get out the tape measure and see what we've got. But one, you can appreciate how she floats around the ring and takes a good, easy step out here, and levelness of her top, and comes out of her next set exceptionally well. And she's deep-bodied in production. She can go and be a sow and withstand being in that crate for quite a while. And we're going to go ahead and the young man's Hampshire belted gilt, one you appreciate for the shape and muscle that she does, and I think she still carries it in a fairly sound fashion. One you can appreciate the amount of power that she possesses. The young lady's solid black gilt coming out. One, I'll first to admit she hit me pretty hard when she walked in the ring, but I want to jack her up in those pasterns, and she wants to just, especially the front, she wants to drop those down a little too much for me. I want to get her up a little bit up on her toes, just a little bit more for me. That's getting nitpicky of one that's really, really neat from the side profile. I think she'll be a really phenomenal female later on as well. The one coming out next is definitely a powered up one that you can really appreciate from, if we just look at her, to take her structure out of the play. Deep bodied, she's got a huge capacity in her, comes at you with a huge forearm, but she wants to twist that back leg out just a little bit slightly for me. Maybe it's the wood shavings, I'm not so certain, but one that you really appreciate the amount of power in that one, but eventually we do have to get babies out of them. A neat female coming out next. It just gets overpowered as overall look and dimension of muscle that she's got comparative to some of the females we had above her. But one that's got some elegant look to her, and one that's going to be a nice female as we get ready to farrow her out. And as we round out our class, we got a really heavy made one that she's getting a little past her prime, getting a little overdone for me today. And then the sandy colored one coming out just gets a little flat in her rib cage for me. We need to change that about her and stouten her up in her feature.
The winner of the dark heavyweight class is Matthew Kolbaum with the MMCRU FFA. Second goes to Jarrett Westhoff with the Grant Little Giants. Now entering the ring is the light heavyweight crossbred gilt class. Braylon Denowden with the Grant Little Giants and Tessa Ellenson with the Lamar's FFA. While we're looking at this class, let's have a round of applause for our judge, Justin Speaker from Spencer, Iowa.
just 2 entries in this particular lightweight class, or light cross class, excuse me. These are pushing your heavyweights, but I'm going to go ahead and start with the young ladies along the fence here. One that's just really really powerful. You get up over her top, and she's got a huge loin laid in her, and she's got a ton of rib cage there to have some capacity, and she's got her filled and dropped in her flank really well. We do want to loosen her up out of those rear two as we want to get her out and drive and be able to push and drive a little bit freer for me today, but one I can appreciate, and she gets her up and picks up her pace. She does get out and drive fairly well, but like I said, if she slows her down, she wants to just labor on those legs a little bit. And the young ladies here, they're not wanting to drive and get out and push at all. But you do like her structure, her skeletal design from her front to her rear, and the amount of product that she's laid in. But we do need to fix those leg structure on this one. Want to get low in those pasterns, and some of it she's not wanting to drive, and but she's wanting to drop in those pasterns and not wanting to get out and move. So and not wanting to behave, and maybe she drives perfectly at home. But it happens to be the way it is at the fair. So.
The winner of the light heavyweight crossbred gilt class was Tessa Ellenson with the Lamar's FFA. Second goes to Brayland and Ouden with the Grant Little Giants. We will now bring out all the crossbred class winners to select a champion. While this class is coming out, let's have a round of applause for our swine superintendent, Joe Rada, and the swine committee. Following the selection of the overall champion breeding gilt, we'll start with junior showmanship, grades 4, 5, and 6, followed by intermediate showmanship, 7, 8, and 9, and then ending with senior showmanship, grades 10, 11, and 12. Correction, we're going to switch that around and start with senior showmanship, followed by intermediate, and then junior.
Let's get a round of applause for these kiddos as they bring out their crossbreds, and then we'll bring out the purebreds later on in a few minutes. And as we get out here and let them drive a little bit in their respective classes, I think they are hogs that I can appreciate and ones that have some functionality to them, as well as some product and can be bred to the right boars and come back here and bring barrows back that will be ultra competitive in this county fair or state fair or whatever you have. They need to be functional from the ground up and still get out and move and still have some product in them. And there's one out here that I really liked when she came in the ring, and how she's designed. She's, like I said, she's not the most powerful one, but you get her out on the move and she just kind of floats out here, and you like how she's designed and ties together and all checks the boxes. For me, the young man's Calico will be your champion.
Thank you.
As we bring that reserve in that particular class out, it doesn't take away anything from the competition, but there's another one out here that I thought fit me exceptionally well. The young lady's blue rumped gilt will be a reserve commercial gilt.
Champion Crossbred Gilt goes to Matthew Colbaum with the MMCRU FFA. Reserve goes to Tessa Ellenson with the Lamar's FFA. We will now select an overall champion breeding gilt.
Let's go ahead and give these kids a round of applause and their respective breeds and the purebred and the crossbred here. As we sit here and evaluate them, I think they all bring a lot of neat things to the table, both of them, and you can twist them around however you want. Today it's my day on the mic, and there's a lot of things I like out of both of them. That's why they're out here. It's been a lot of fun to sort the gilts, and I know there wasn't as many as maybe some hope, but it's really fun to come out here and evaluate them. And let's go ahead and give them one more round of applause, and we'll go ahead and select your champion. I think for me, it's as we get them out here and look at them and types and kinds differences when you're looking at a Duroc versus a crossbred. Sometimes the purebreds have a little bit of disadvantage, but they're both represent their breeds, or the cross and the Duroc represent their breed character well, and one you can appreciate from their design and structure, the ruggedness and their ability to be functional later on as sows. But I think there's one out here that fits the bill for me very well, the young man's crossbred.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Champion breeding gilt goes to Matthew Kolbaum with the MMCRU FFA.
As we go ahead and bring that reserve cross gilt out here, I think she holds the quality exceptionally well. And there's, you know, they both rival each other in their different characteristics. One's really big and massive. The other one's a little looser structured and a little more rugged in just overall how it's designed. But I thought it was awfully close in the crossbred pair. The crossbred gilt's going to be reserve.
The reserve champion breeding gilt goes to Tessa Ellenson with the Lamar's FFA. We'll now start off with senior showmanship. If your grades 10 through 12 and want to do showmanship, now's the time.
Let's go ahead and give our seniors a round of applause. Unfortunately, there's only 3 out here and only get to pick 2, but all 3 of these are doing really, really well. I'd have them show picks for me any day, and you appreciate that. And it's all on personal preference when it comes to showmanship. But before I pick a champion, I just want to say thanks for having me come out here and for your ring help and all the volunteers that it takes to make hog shows or cattle shows or sheep shows. It doesn't matter. All of you need to be commended for helping today's youth out. It's fun for me to volunteer for at our county fair and be a part of helping make kids learn more about agriculture, and that's what we have to do and be advocates for that. And you kids, when you get home or get out of this ring, go ahead and thank your family members for keeping you involved in this project. So it takes family and a lot of effort to make these things go. So let's give these kids one more round of applause, and I'll shake your hand of your champion in reserve.
Champion Senior Showman goes to Reagan Peters with the MMCRU FFA. Reserve goes to Wyatt Nelson with the Kingsley Pearson FFA. Those trophies were sponsored by Prime Bank and Wayne and Julie Beetlesbacher.
Only a single entry in the intermediate showmanship, but the young lady does a really nice job. Let's give her a round of applause. She gets him out there and look at all angles and how she gets this gilt out on the move, and she's not wanting to move right now. But I did tell her it's okay to smile a little bit and have a little fun. So let's congratulate her one more time, and we'll look at our juniors.
Congratulations to Braylon Denowden with the Grant Little Giants for intermediate showmanship. That trophy is sponsored by Prime Bank. While the junior showmen are entering the ring, start thinking about your supper options. Visit the 4-H food stand. They've got lots of good options. Also, the FFA grilled cheese and shake stand. You can get a mozzarella or cheddar grilled cheese for $3 or a shake for $5. Come support the clubs that these great showmen come from.
let's go ahead and give these kids a round of applause, and some great juniors and great showmen out here, and they brought some great pigs as well. And you know, showmanship has nothing to do with the quality of the pig, but they're getting a drove out here so I can see all angles, and doing a really nice job. And you know, it's all personal preference and nitpicky and how your pig's going to perform. One thing I love to watch, you know, all livestock when I judge them, I love to watch them on the move, and you know, if they have to, some pigs look better at a little higher pace, some look better at a slower pace. I like to get them out and drive them and get them to work, and same with any livestock that I get to evaluate. So you know, I just like to see them getting out here and floating around the ring, and I think you guys have all done a really nice job of that, and let me view all angles of your animals. So let's give them one more round of applause, and I'll pick your grand and reserve.
Congratulations to our champion junior showmen, Jarrett Westhoff and Hayden Bolke. Those trophies were sponsored by Lamar's Vet Clinic and Randy Croche.